What is going on YouTube? Today I am back with another video. As you can see from the title, this is how my top setter has a 97% show up rate. Obviously, on average, he has like a 90%. And keep in mind, I have trained this guy from the beginning. Everything that he does know is completely from me. Only before this, he was like a DM setter, but let's kind of just go ahead and get straight into it. As you can see, the very first part that I just want to touch upon is like why most setters just struggle to perform. As you can see, it's not because they aren't capable of actually becoming that like top 1% setter. It's because they're missing the structure of how everything's supposed to go. They have no daily framework. They have no clear cut KPIs, and they have no sense of like what's actually going to allow them to move the needle and actually get better day in and day out. Right. This video is going to just break down the exact system that I've used to allow my setters have 90% show up rate. And my KPI for all my setters is above 85%, right? So as long as you're above 85%, you are hitting the KPI. And I honestly believe like no matter who you are as a setter, you should be able to hit that 90% set like show up rate as long as you have the right systems in place and as long as you're extremely dialed. Now, the very first thing is the foundation, the framework. This is what's actually going to allow you to become that top 1% setter that you're actually looking for. The framework is kind of like, it's basically like your bread and butter, right? Your job as a setter is to just build the gap. Where are they right now? Why am I not there? Like, why am I not there? And like, where do I actually want to be? Allowing these prospects to actually understand where they actually are. Like, what happens if I do nothing? Like, these are the big things that people need to understand because if they understand this on the setting call, like, okay, I'm not here. What happens if I'm not here? I'm just going to stay the same. Do I want to risk that? No. Okay. So, building the gap is going to allow you to build urgency for these people to want to get on the call. I only do same day sets. I want to keep in mind because that's what I've seen as far as how to be the most successful. It's just same day sets. From there on, is just in order to build the cap, like I would honestly say have a set structured of like 5 to around like 8 questions where like, okay, I need to ask these questions before they hop off the call. These are going to actually allow me to understand this person as a prospect. Like, how long have you been trying to fix this? What stopped you from getting results so far? What have you ever invested in? Have you invested it? Yes or no? Why haven't you invested? What happens if you're in the same position 6 months from now? Now, these are some example questions. These aren't the exact framework, keep in mind, but these are some example questions that you guys should at least be kind of in the ballpark of already asking. If you're not, that's a problem. Right? These questions are going to allow the prospect to actually feel real pain. And once you allow these prospects to feel real pain, it's going to allow you to get deeper in the conversation, build more of a gap, and the urgency to actually hop on the call is much, much more greater. So, second thing, I like to say for the very first 7 days, don't even worry about how much you're making. Honestly, just fuck how much you're making. Only really realistically talk about like the dials. Your goal should be out dial every single last person on the offer. In your very first 7 days, out dial every single person on the offer. You should not care like at all how much money you should be making. Is just volume and reps at the end of the day, which is going to push the needle for you. Like, was I the like yeah? How many seat like for example for this? How many setter like your last setter? How many dials was he doing a day? Okay, oh he was only doing 100. Do 150. Do 200 dials. Then call every single person. Right? If they don't answer the first time, call them up in a couple of hours. Text them. Even I used to literally email people on the CRM and call them the next day. Continue following up. Like, the biggest thing with this, you have to kind of harass these people. You have to harass these people. These people filled out a form application for a reason. If you're not doing that, you know, you're just losing money at that point. Every single time an opt-in comes in, if they legit have no money, that is free bread that you're missing out on. So it's just like, why wouldn't you go ahead and try to get it? That's the very first thing. The very 7 to 14 day period is volume plus pipeline control. Once you've gotten your reps in, the best time now is to start having a strategy. You're still dialing like a lot, right? But you're starting to track KPIs, how many calls, how many connects, how many shows, and like actually trying to make that money that you do want to make. Watching your show up rate trends and then just fine tuning your follow up process, right? Everybody has a little bit of a follow up process, but for all my reps, they follow mine, and it works amazing, right? So the follow up process is what's going to actually allow you to, because I would say 30 to 40% of your money is going to come through just purely follow ups. And once you understand that, okay, follow ups is the name of the game. This is how I'm actually going to be able to, you know, get to the people that I want to, or make the money that I want to, is just through the follow ups. Game changer. So yeah, and this is where most setters from this 7 to 14 day period, you're gonna see, like, let's just say you're bunched in with a group of people, 4 or 5 people, you're gonna see most of them fall off within this period. They're either gonna grow or they're either gonna flatline. Right? They're gonna stay the same and just, make those $400 or $500 weeks, or they're gonna start hitting 2 3K weeks, right? And the only ones that grow is the people that do this, right? Text follow-ups. If you're following up with each and every single lead after a book call, confirmation reminders, day of text, things like that, and then on top of that, I set alarms. If you're not on close the CRM, you can't have like a specific alarm. So I set alarms for when I need to call people, when people have their call booked. Make sure they're on the actual channel, or not on the actual channel, but on the actual booked call. That way it could just be much easier. Next thing is just the pipeline management. Pipeline is one of the easiest things to understand, but like actually managing your pipeline can be difficult at times, because once you understand, okay, I know that pipeline management is a big thing, but actually doing it day in day out is what's going to allow you to get above everybody else. Because your pipeline is honestly the foundation of everything. The high show up rates, how many people you're booking. You need to know where your leads are at all times. That's kind of how I like to look at it. And biggest thing for any of you guys new sales reps, right? I don't know if you guys have a sales manager, if you're in a community, things like that. But when you land your very first offer that is doing money, that is actually can bring you an income, you have to do daily role plays. Like, this is a non-negotiable. You have to do role plays every single day for the very first 2 weeks. That's what I did for my setup. Very first day, for the very first 2 weeks, we did daily role plays, like just around the first half of the call, just making sure that these people are extremely dialed, and practicing the tone, speed, energy. Because if you guys have a flat tone, flat tonality, it's going to allow you to not book one as much as you need to. And then a lot of people are going to just hang up. Because the way I look at it, the tonality is the biggest part. People buy from people. So for you guys specifically, if you guys are struggling with tonality, like people always tell you, you kind of sound tone deaf, speak up, talk a little bit faster. It's going to allow you to have that one, sound like you have conviction, and then two, very, very energetic. A lot of people that have a lot of energy speak very fast and speak very loud. It shows that you actually are confident in what you're saying. So the quicker you are able to actually gain that skill is the better you're actually going to be as a setter, as a sales rep. Last thing, or not last thing, very fifth thing is just identity framing. Identity framing is one of the biggest parts when it comes to actually tying somebody down to the end of the call. This is one of the most underrated. Like, a lot of setters do not do this. And at the end of the call, it looks like this, right? Just making sure you're not one of those people that says they want to change, books a call, and just doesn't show up, right? They always say, no, that's not me. Now that you align them with the person who actually shows up, the person that's actually committed, because like in their mind, if they don't show up, they're no good than that other person. That's pressure, and that pressure converts. And then on top of that, right? Identity framing works because it activates their ego. People want to feel like they're the type of person who takes action, so they use that to their advantage. So another thing, right? After they say the no, that's not me, be like, good, right? You know what happens to those people? The people that say they want to do this, but they never end up doing it. They're gonna always respond with, "What? Yeah, I mean, those people never get results." Boom, another one activates their ego. This is all ammo for you guys to use. And think, if you pair this with booking them an hour, 30 minutes out, your guys' close rate, not even close rate, your guys' show rate will be much more higher. And as long as you allow them to watch that pre-call videos, if you guys do have them, you guys are super green to go. Now, a big part of what a lot of sales reps don't do is just mastering kind of the why behind words and actually understanding what the prospect means, not what they say. Now, this is not going to be too heavy closer focused. So, I mean, like, what I mean by this is like a lot of closers actually take on this mindset, right? But as a setter, you have to understand like when prospects mean this or like when they're saying stuff, they're going to mean different things at times. Yeah, oh, like when you ask prospects, oh, do you have a couple minutes to talk right now? Instant objection. People can always be like, oh no, like no, but they just filled out the application like 2 minutes ago. Obviously, they're interested. They just don't want to talk to you, right? So don't ask questions like that, stuff like that. But I mean, this is actually going to allow you guys to understand your guys' prospect psychology, understanding like, okay, this is what they actually mean because once I understand what they mean, I understand who they are as a person, and then I can kind of guess the objection that they have, and I can even go ahead and tell my closer that. So for this example, right? Somebody says I've just been busy, that's why they haven't taken action. Don't just be like, oh yeah, okay. Ask them like what has actually been keeping you busy, or like what has stopped you from like actually getting to that goal, or like that's because once you understand, like instead of just taking it for face value, you're gonna understand, okay, this person has not been taking action because of X reason. Is that still an occasion? Yes. Okay. What are you gonna continue in letting that actually like stop you from achieving your goals? No. Are you sure? Why so is it not now? And then boom, continue on going from there. Now, obviously, like I kind of mentioned before, your framework 5 to 8 key questions, like shorter than 5, you're not building enough gap. Longer than 10, you're just wasting time. My calls are no longer than, you know, like 5 to 8 minutes long. Like a setting call, 5, 8 minutes long, maybe 10, and that's 10 if like if you are really doing like like if the guys, not even if the guy's a yapper, because you can honestly be able to cut them off, but if your calls are longer than 10 minutes, you're doing something wrong. But every minute of this call should be moving the call closer to the problem, pain, commitment, booking. It should immediately go like that. Obviously, I did talk a little bit about this, but I'll just kind of re-go over it. Days 14 through 21, you should know at this level that, okay, people are buyer, people aren't, people are serious, people are wasting your time, right? And this is like the 2 to 3 week mark. Like, literally, first 60 seconds of talking to them, you should know how to disqualify people within the first 30 to 60 seconds. You should know people who's bullshitting, who has money, who needs to be followed up with. And this only comes from taking a lot of high reps, having a solid framework, and relentless reviews. Reviewing your calls is going to allow you to be an exceptional setter, an exceptional sales rep. Because honestly, this is some advice for sales reps as well, right? Because if you're still in the guessing stage, you have not trained enough and you have not dialed enough. Like, oh, I don't know what this prospect's going to say. I don't know what this. You should have a clear cut understanding. Okay, this is exactly what this person's going to say. I know he has money. I'm going to book him. Only thing that he would give me is like, oh, he doesn't have time right now. Then, okay, find a time. Last thing is practice what you preach. I cannot understand this like enough. I even still have trouble with this to this day, but still practice what you preach. Like if you're telling a prospect you need to invest into yourself, you need to stay disciplined, you need to follow through, and you're not doing these things at yourself, it's gonna show you, it's gonna reflect back onto your prospect. You're gonna continue getting these same things until like, and you're not even gonna realize it. That's like the sad thing. And like your conviction will be weak. That's why so many reps have like these like, oh, no shows, the flaky prospects. It's not because of the prospects, it's because of you at the end of the day. Your prospects are a direct reflection of how you act because it's almost like a mirror. So you want to make sure you're as dialed as humanly possible to make sure that you're actually giving these people like advice that you take for as yourself. And again, I know like in terms of becoming dialed, it's going to take, a couple months, but No, okay. It's gonna take a couple weeks for you to start changing, but a couple months for you to fully switch into that second version of yourself. Because if you're always telling people to be that second version, actually telling people that if they want to get to their goals, they have to take that risk. You have to do the same things. But this is pretty much it for this YouTube video. I hope you guys honestly did find a lot of value from it. I know I dropped a lot of sauce, but same thing goes. If you guys have any sort of questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and type them in the comments section. And then too, if you have any questions about sales or anything like that, my Instagram is going to be linked jaden.burrow in the description. And then if you guys want my Telegram, that's just completely free. I don't sell any sort of course, anything like that. Which is completely free. Just go ahead, look at my Instagram, follow me, ask me for the Telegram. I only send it to people that I do follow or that does follow me. Because if you don't follow me, I'm not going to send it to you. And there I send my job opportunities for the offers for me. And then two, I just send daily sales advice. And then three, I just yap about business in general. So if you guys are interested in that, join that. But if not, I will catch you guys in the next one.